For most of my life, a simple picture of a honeycomb could wreck my entire day. And I don't mean I just disliked it. I mean heart-pounding, skin-crawling, full-on panic. But I recently discovered a psychological technique that completely changed my relationship with this fear. It didn't just help me cope, it helped me conquer it. In this video, I'm going to share my story and the exact steps I took to overcome my trypophobia for good. The confession. It's really hard to explain what trypophobia feels like to someone who doesn't experience it. It's this intense fear or deep disgust related to patterns of small holes or bumps. It's not officially in the diagnostic manuals, but for those of us who live with it, it is profoundly real. For me, it was never just about being grossed out. It was a physical, full-body reaction. My skin would start to feel itchy, like things were crawling on it. My heart would race, I'd get sweaty, and this wave of nausea would just wash over me. It was a feeling of pure, irrational terror and disgust all rolled into one. My first confession is about breakfast. I used to love strawberries. Then one day I was slicing one up and I really looked at the surface. The way the seeds were nestled in their own little pockets. And that was it. I dropped the knife, my stomach turned, and I had to leave the room. From that day on, strawberries were off the menu. So were pomegranates, English muffins. Anything with that clustered, porous texture became a landmine in my own kitchen. People would say, "Just don't look at it." But that's like telling someone with a fear of heights not to look down. Just knowing it's there is enough. My world started shrinking in these small, almost unnoticeable ways. My second confession is about the time it cost me a friendship. We were at a modern art museum and my friend was so excited to show me this one installation. I rounded the corner and was hit with a giant wall-sized sculpture made entirely of colorful synthetic sponges. To her, it was beautiful. To me, it was a waking nightmare. I couldn't breathe. I physically recoiled and backed out of the room, my hands shaking. I tried to explain, but she just didn't get it. She laughed, thinking I was being dramatic, saying, "It's just sponges, what's the big deal?" That disconnect, that feeling of being so completely misunderstood in a moment of genuine panic, created a rift between us that never really healed. It's incredibly isolating when your reality is dismissed as a joke. My final confession is what pushed me to my breaking point. I was watching a nature documentary with my family, one of those beautiful, award-winning series. There was a segment on marine life, and they showed a close-up of coral spawning. Thousands of tiny spheres being released from this porous surface. I had a full-blown panic attack right there on the couch. I was curled in a ball, hyperventilating, trying to scratch the feeling off my own skin. My family was terrified. They had no idea what was happening. I felt so ashamed, so out of control, and just exhausted by my own brain. Here was this beautiful, natural process, and my mind was screaming danger. That night, I knew I couldn't live like this anymore. This phobia was an invisible cage, and I was done being its prisoner. I had to find a way out. The turning point. My journey to find a solution started with a lot of dead ends. I tried avoidance, but that just made my world smaller, and the fear bigger for those times I inevitably ran into a trigger. People would offer helpful advice like, "Just think of something else," which is laughably ineffective when your nervous system is sounding every alarm it has. I tried to logic my way out of it, but my body's reaction was so powerful it steamrolled right over any rational thought. For a long time, it felt hopeless. I felt broken. The real shift happened during a late-night research binge after the documentary incident. I was tired of reading stories about suffering. I wanted stories about recovery. I started digging into the clinical side of phobias, getting past forums and into psychology articles. That's when I found two terms that would change my life: cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and exposure therapy. For the first time, I saw a path that wasn't about avoiding the fear, but about confronting it. It wasn't about ignoring it, but about systematically taking it apart. The science just made sense. Phobias are a learned response. Your brain, for some reason, has created a faulty link between something harmless, like a pattern of holes, and a threat response. One theory is that this is an overactive survival instinct. Maybe the patterns mimic venomous animals or diseased skin, triggering a primitive danger signal in our brains. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is all about identifying, challenging, and reframing the irrational thoughts that fuel the phobia. And exposure therapy is CBT in action. It's the process of gradually and safely exposing yourself to the thing you fear until your brain learns it isn't actually a threat. This is considered the gold standard treatment for specific phobias, and it's incredibly effective, with studies showing that it helps a large majority of people find lasting relief. Seeing that gave me a flicker of hope I hadn't felt in years. This wasn't some personality quirk I just had to live with. It was a condition, and it had a treatment. I decided right then I was going to become my own therapist and build a program for myself. The solution, a practical guide. This is the part that matters most. This is the how. I want to walk you through the exact step-by-step process I used. A quick disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist. This is what worked for me, but it's based on well-established psychological principles. If your phobia is severely impacting your life, seeking professional guidance is always the best move. The whole process is built on that powerful duo, cognitive behavioral therapy and exposure therapy. Think of it as a two-pronged attack. With CBT, you retrain your thoughts. With exposure therapy, you retrain your body's physical reaction. You really need both for it to stick. Step 1. Understand and identify your irrational thoughts. Before you can face the fear, you have to know what you're telling yourself. For weeks, I kept a journal. Anytime I felt that familiar revulsion, I'd make myself stop and write down the exact thought in my head. They were often subconscious and almost always irrational. Things like, those holes are unnatural and wrong. Something dangerous will come out of them. This pattern is a sign of disease, and it's contaminating me just by looking at it. Once you have them written down, you can start to challenge them, like a detective investigating your own brain. I'd write a rational response right next to the irrational one. To the thought, something is going to come out of those holes, I'd write, this is a picture of a lotus pod. It's a plant. Seeds come out of it, and they can't harm me through this screen. 2. This is a sign of disease, I'd counter. This is a honeycomb. Bees make it to store honey. It's not diseased tissue. My brain is just making a bad connection. It feels a little silly at first, but it's so important. You're starting to loosen the grip of that automatic fearful thought and introduce logic. Step 2. Build your fear ladder. You can't just jump into the deep end. That will only re-traumatize you and make the phobia worse. The key is gradual exposure. So you build what therapists call an anxiety hierarchy, or a fear ladder. Get a piece of paper and list every trigger you can think of. Then, rate each one from 1 to 100, where 1 is basically no anxiety, and 100 is a full-blown panic attack. Be specific. For me, a cartoon drawing of Swiss cheese was maybe a 10. A picture of a strawberry was a 40. A close-up photo of a lotus seed pod was a 90. And a video of a Suriname toad birth was a hard 100. Your ladder should have at least 10 to 15 rungs, starting with the super mild stuff and working your way up to your biggest fear. This is your roadmap. You don't move to a higher rung until the one you're on doesn't cause you much distress anymore. Step 3. Master a relaxation technique. You wouldn't go into battle without armor, and a relaxation technique is your armor for exposure. It helps you manage the physical panic and teaches your body that it can be calm around the trigger. There are lots of techniques, but I found box breathing to be the most effective and easiest to do anywhere. It's simple. 1. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. 2. Hold your breath for a count of 4. 3. Breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of 4. 4. Hold again for a count of 4. 5. Repeat. Practice this every single day, even when you aren't anxious, until it becomes second nature. This is the tool that will get you through the exposure sessions. Step 4. Climb the ladder. Set aside dedicated time for this. Don't do it when you're already stressed or tired. Start with the lowest item on your ladder, the one you rated a 5 or 10. For me, it was that cartoon Swiss cheese. Find the image, open it, and just look at it. Your first instinct is to cringe, look away, close the tab. Your job is to resist that urge. This is the most critical part. Looking away reinforces the phobia. It teaches your brain that avoidance is how you find relief. You have to stay with the feeling. As soon as the anxiety starts to build, bring out your armor. Start your box breathing. Feel your heart pound. Feel your skin crawl. And just breathe through it. While you're looking, activate your CBT work. Talk to yourself out loud or in your head. This is just a drawing. Pixels on a screen. I am safe. This feeling is uncomfortable, but it's just a feeling. It can't hurt me, and it will pass. Stay with that image until your anxiety level drops by at least half. The first time, this might take 10 or 15 minutes. It will feel like an eternity, but it will happen. Your nervous system literally cannot stay in a peak panic state forever. When you feel the anxiety go down while still looking at the image, you've won for the day. You have just taught your brain a powerful new lesson. The trigger is here, but the threat is gone. Repeat this with the same image every day until looking at it is no big deal. For me, it took about 3 sessions before cartoon cheese was just cartoon cheese again. Then, and only then, do you move to the next rung. A real photo of Swiss cheese. Repeat the process. Then maybe aerated chocolate. Step by step, rung by rung. It's a slow and steady process, but it absolutely works. The resolution. Life after trypophobia. It's hard to describe the feeling of freedom. It's not one big moment, but a collection of small ones. It was the first time I walked through the produce aisle, saw strawberries and felt nothing. Not a flicker of panic. Just a thought. Oh, strawberries. I actually bought a container, took them home, washed them and ate one. It tasted like victory. It's being able to watch any nature documentary without that preemptive dread of what might show up. It's seeing a friend's vacation photo of a coral reef and being able to appreciate the beauty instead of recoiling. It's the quiet confidence of knowing my world isn't booby-trapped anymore. The cage is gone because I took it apart bar by bar. So did I cure my trypophobia? I don't know if cured is the right word, because the memory of the fear is still there. I'd say I successfully rewired my response. I neutralized the threat. I took a faulty, haywire alarm system and with patience and persistence I recalibrated it. That feeling of empowerment is almost as good as the absence of fear itself. I proved that I'm not at the mercy of my own irrational thoughts. I'm in control, and that is a feeling I wouldn't trade for anything. The journey from being controlled by a phobia to controlling it has been one of the most empowering things I've ever done. It taught me that our brains are incredibly adaptable and that we have the power to reshape our own responses. The main thing I want you to take away is this. You are not broken, and you are not alone. Your fear is real, but it doesn't have to be permanent. The strategy is simple, even if the work is hard. Understand the irrational thought, and then gently, gradually, and repeatedly prove it wrong. If my story resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd share your own experience in the comments. Reading other people's stories is incredibly validating, and creating a supportive community right here would be amazing. And of course, if this guide was helpful, giving the video a like and subscribing for more content about taking control of your mental well-being would mean a lot. It truly helps the channel more than you know. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to be patient with yourself, be brave, and know that you have the capacity to change.